Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Soul Knife Rogue build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. This is part of the Book of Rogues 5e Rogue Subclasses mod made by IncogneatoBurrito. This is a really fun subclass. It has psychic blades that we can throw, teleport to them, and we're able to bypass an attack if we miss and add our psionic energy die to the attacks. Kind of similar to the Psy Warrior if you've played it. It's a very interesting class and a lot of power to it. Now, with our ability score spread, we can actually use Tavern Brawler and get a lot of power out of it because our sneak attacks can be a thrown psychic dart if we wanted, or knife if we wanted to. We can roll with this and use the Hag's Hair to take it up to 18 if you like to do that. If not, I'd actually recommend going with a stat spread and taking one of the points to 15, either our Constitution or our Strength. You can also use a Strength Potion to maximize the damage. The reason we want it at 15 is Tavern Brawler lets it take it up to 16. This stat spread will give us more survivability, but you can also dump your strength, put those points in wisdom and intelligence for the saves, but I think that this is a decent enough stat spread. And obviously to maximize throwing-based builds, we want to use a strength potion, but you can also use a club in your offhand if you're in Act 1. That is the Club of Hill Giant Strength. Now, level 2 gives us our bonus action, Hide, Disengage, and Dash. These are really useful to have just for positioning. That's really the thing with the Rogue. Into our third level, we get to take our subclass here with the Soul Knife. This icon was made by Sumer Dagnauth, the creator of the 5e fighter barbarian, monk, and cleric ranger subclasses. This one here by IncogneatoBurrito. Great collaboration. But the Soul Knife here gets very special psionic energy dies, so these are expended to use on some of our abilities later on. We also get the Psi Bolster Dag. When you make an ability check, you roll one psionic energy die and add it to the total, possibly changing the outcome. There was a little bit of homebrew required here just because of how a video game obviously doesn't translate directly from tabletop experiences. But we also get our Psychic Blades here at the first level, and we get the ability to restore a Psionic Energy die as a bonus action there. We get our Summon Psychic Blades, which you can summon them in each hand if you have both hands free. And we also get the Detect Thought spell. This is really nice just to have in general if you're the face of the party. And at level 4, this is when we're going to want to take Tavern Brawler because, yeah, it's going to give us a huge boost. We can then get our Constitution up even further. It doubles our Strength modifier. Right now, it's only the +2, but using a Strength Potion, you can get it to a plus. It's going to double it, so it turns into a +8, which becomes +16 onto the damage and attack rolls. That makes the damage potential absolutely absurd, and the reason that we'd want to use this. And it also makes this a great candidate for multi-classing because if you get an extra attack, you can do another throw. There is also a mod that gives the Rogue an extra attack at level 5. It's called Rogue Extra Attack, which you could use alongside this. And here's our Summoned Psychic Blade, so we can go ahead with casting that, and we create ourselves a little spectral blades here. They look really nice, and they do psychic damage again, which is pretty powerful. What's cool is you can summon those into combat, throw them, teleport there later on. Now, at level 5, we get Uncanny Dodge, so whenever an attack hits us, we take half the usual damage. The Rogues are really good at just avoiding damage, which is nice. Because, yeah, we are now also able to deal good amounts of damage. The Soul Knife is actually one of the more powerful subclasses for the Rogue. The Rogue is a weaker class in general in Baldur's Gate 3, just due to not getting the extra attack, and this being a combat-heavy game. But this one is really strong. Level 7 gives us Evasion, so we now take half damage on every spell that hits us, and if we save on it, we don't take any damage at all, with previously we would have taken half damage. Into level 8, we can take another feat here. Alert's always a nice one, given a +5 to initiative, meaning we can go first in combat, take a high threat. You could also go with a dexterity increase if you prefer here. I think that the alert feat is my personal preference, so that's what I'm going to roll with, just as I find this section of the game, you need it. Level 9 gives us our Soul Blade, so your Psychic Blades have an expression of your suffused soul, giving yourself additional abilities that use your Psionic Energy die, the Homing Strikes, and the Psychic Teleportation, which allows us to throw a Psychic Blade immediately teleporting to yourself wherever it lands as a bonus action. So this is pretty strong because we now open up our way of attacking quite a bit with this because we can position ourselves and get in for a powerful attack. Level 10 gives us another feat, and one that I would recommend is the Savage Attacker. So when we make a melee weapon attack, our damage die is rolled twice and we use the highest result. Now, Savage Attacker is a little bit buggy. Sometimes it does help with re-rolling the sneak attack damage die. Sometimes it does not. It's very particular, but at the very minimum, it's going to re-roll our melee attacks. So it is a really good feat. If you don't like taking it, you can go with the dexterity increase, but the Rogue gets that extra feat at level 10, so it's nice to have. At level 11, we get the Reliable Talent. When you make an ability check with a skill you're not proficient in, the lowest you can roll is a 10. That's great because you'll now succeed on a lot of checks that you would have just failed otherwise. And for our level 12 feat, we can go with the Tough feat is nice because this will give us a additional 2 health for every level. You can go with an increase your Constitution. Unfortunately, the Psychic Blades don't let you do opportunity attacks, so there's no point to take something like Sentinel there. So my pick is into the increased dexterity for better armor class, and it will slightly boost up our initiative as well. Now, you can stop at level 12 if you prefer. I'll show you the full level 20 because IncogneatoBurrito does do the full progression here. So at level 13, we get the Psychic Veil. Weave a veil of psychic energy to become invisible. You can do this once per long rest without expending your psionic energy die, so that's really nice. Level 14 gives us another class feature to blind sense you're aware of the location of any hidden or invisible creatures nearby. Level 15 gives us Slippery Mind. This is a really good benefit. You gain proficiency in wisdom saving throws, so that's going to give us a big boost in not getting hit by command and hold person. Level 16 gives us another ability score increase. We could go with the choice increasing our dexterity is for better armor class and initiative. We could also add in the moderately armor to give yourself a bit more armor class. Survivability, that's never a bad idea. You could also go with the lucky feat to give ourselves lucky points. These are pretty nice too. If we would have went with this, we could have went a little bit higher in the dexterity there. This is kind of a replacement. If you had the Hags here, this can take it up to 20 though. But the lucky feat is another really good one that I do want to mention because it is helpful in a lot of situations when sometimes you're not going to be able to survive an attack or something. Level 17 gives us our Rend Mind, so this is really strong. When you use your Psychic Blades to deal sneak attack damage to a creature, you can force that target to do a wisdom saving throw or have their mind shattered, which just shuts them straight down. You can use this per long rest or after expending 3 psionic energy die to use it again. Now, the only downside I should say to this is that whenever you go up this high in the rogue, you can't at this point go and take a martial class to get the extra attack. You're stuck with this. So again, I did mention the rogue extra attack is pretty fun here. So the elusive doesn't really work at this current moment. That's a rogue. That's part of the expanded level cap mod. But level 19 gives us our final feat. Mage Slayer makes sense, but I don't think it works properly with the psionic blade. So we're going to take either the lucky feat here or tough. Tough will just give us a lot of health. And we're rogue, we take less damage, so we can be really tanky and survivable here. And then level 20 just gives us flat out increase for health. Note, you don't need to take it up to level 20. And another thing, if you're playing with the increased level cap mod and you're playing a rogue, you're going to have this glowing eyeball above your head because that is the C invisibility, unless you have another mod that can remove that. Now, as far as gear goes, there's actually quite a few because this build goes many different ways. We can proc mental fatigue off of the brain drain gloves since it's psychic damage on our blades. Really powerful that way. We can also use the shadow cloaked ring because we're going to use a little bit of stealth. This will add a 1d4 bonus to damage on lightly or heavily obscured targets or any of those that are made of shadow. On top of that, since we're throwing, we can also use the ring of flinging, which will add a 1d4 bonus to throw damage. Since we're going to be applying mental fatigue, we can also use the boots of stormy clamor, which will give us the reverberation stacks. I got the armor of agility here, but until you get the medium armor proficiency, you're going to use clothing or the best available robes. You can have your wizard, or if you have a scroll of mage armor, you can cast this on yourself. High dexterity, that'll keep you alive as best possible. We can get our armor class up pretty decent. We could have get that higher with a shield, but we're not going to use one for this build. I have the cloak of protection. You can use Deathstalker mantle if you're dirge. That's probably the best choice because turning invisible is really nice. And the Shade Slayer cloak is okay because it'll give you a bonus to critical hit whenever you're hiding, only when you're hiding. Just so a heads up on that. Now, the reason I wanted medium armor proficiency, not for the high armor class, is because we can now add another item into our skill with the Steel Watcher helmet. The reason I wanted this is it gives us the ability to see in magical darkness. So there's a really fun combination too that we could do. If you're playing as a drow, this is a concentration, so we could even go ahead and add in the Strange Conduit ring, which adds a 1d4 psychic damage onto our attacks when we're concentrating. We can concentrate on darkness, we can see in it, they can't. You could also have a teammate use an arrow of darkness for you. We have the Hellrider longbow for the +3 to our initiative. I guess a couple other rings. You could go with the free critical hit ring, the Killer Sweetheart. That is a good choice. You could even add on the Caustic Band for a little bit of extra damage. The Ring of Free Action for the movement that you get from it's nice. I have the Constitution Amulet on there, but you can really go with the best available or whatever you have free at this point. Necklaces aren't really super necessary for this build. And you could also throw on the Evasive Shoes if you want a little bit of more armor class instead of going with the Boots of Stormy Clamor if you have that on another character. And for armor, again, I guess there's whatever robes available or light armor that you got. The Ballast armor can go good too if you don't want to use medium armor because that'll double piercing damage, but we're not using piercing damage. I guess the best armor is the thing that we put in our pocket, the Resonant Stone, which makes all enemies steeped in bliss, which makes them take double psychic damage. Now, note, this does become pretty powerful because, yeah, you're essentially doubling all the damage. So this says we only do like 18 damage, but when we throw it, it's going to do quite a bit of damage too. And that's all end up being doubled if they're within the little bubble of steeped in bliss. And one last thing I just want to mention, the Cybolster Knack here, when you make an ability check, you can toggle this on or off to use it, kind of similar to the Bardic Inspiration die. So yeah, this will help out by using these Psionic Energy die to add them to the ability checks. You can first start set up if you have someone else in your in your initiative order by using Arrows of Darkness. This lets us set up and get some extra damage because we're going to be getting advantage on our attacks there, because normally Shadow Blade would get advantage, but we don't, so this will help us out. So first thing we're going to do is summon in our Psychic Blades here. This lets us then attack with them, but we can also go ahead and do a few different actions. So our sneak attack there will do upwards of 78 damage, and that 78 is getting rerolled, and it's getting doubled. I really want this target right here gone, so I'm going to go after... I don't have the advantage. I was thinking that as a teammate. You do have to get advantage, so your trusty teammate there to back you up, and this is very likely going to one-shot. I'm curious the damage number we're going to hit. We'll roll a crit for the fun of it. 122, so that's pretty good. So you can see that there with the damage roll 4, 1d6 Psychic, re-rolled it, plus 8 Strength modifier, plus a 10d6 Psychic, which is from our sneak attack, re-rolled, plus a 1d4 Psychic, re-rolled, so I get to 4, and then the Shadow Thief there, the blade equals 61, and then doubled it to double that. And with our cloak, we're now invisible, so we can run away without getting that opportunity attack. What's also nice is we can use the Psychic Blade teleportation, which lets us throw a blade and teleport to the location, so that can be pretty nice too. It's easy to throw to the ground so you can go whoop and teleport to that location. This gets us in position to be able to go ahead with another attack here. But what we can also do is we can go ahead with the throne, because these are light finesse throne weapons. So yeah, you don't have to be stuck just attacking right here. If you have a target that you want gone, like I want this target over here dead, I'm going to go ahead with throwing this blade. It'll appear near the top, and as long as you're not starting combat this way, you'll be able to throw it. That was 36 damage. Pretty crazy. The darkness also enhances this because normally throwing at close range is not really that ideal, but when they're blinded, you have advantage against it. And here's a moment where I wish that I had I wish I had Nyrol to do the exploding attack there. But we're just going to go ahead with a thrown attack here because we're going to have, for the most part, advantage on these. 99% hit chance on all of them. Now we're going to go for a target that I'll try to take this one out to get to Shadowheart there. Boom, that took them out all right. So boom, it added our sneak attack damage on top of all of that, which made it hit pretty hard, as you can imagine. So we're going to go ahead with another throwing attack here, and I want to take out one of the backliners there. 99% hit chance. Boom, that was enough good, and we got that to spread. Now, the great thing about these gloves is the mental fatigue will actually proc off of our Call the Weak, so if you got Illithid abilities, they pair very well here. And we also got an offhand attack. This is great for low health targets, again, especially if you got a Call the Weak, because it only does a little bit of damage, but sometimes that's just enough to pop the Call the Weak. So boom, we got reverberation, whatever. All right, so we're in a bit of a tough situation here, but I think our best course of action is another throwing knife. We're going to try and pop Call the Weak again to maybe take out some of these other targets here. So I'm going to try and hit that one and potentially hit it off on, we only got 4 damage, but we took out that target, so that's good. So I guess I'll try again on this one here. Really, this is just best utilized as like a stealthy sneak attacker. Oh, cool, we're actually chipping him away. That's actually perfect. So then we can do our bonus action offhand attack. That should finish him off if we don't miss. There we go. That was 3 in 1 turn. That's actually pretty good. That's likely the peak of a turn for a rogue. You're not normally going to get more than 1 KO, but the nice thing is you do burst damage, and with it being psychic damage and all the buffs to psychic damage, this becomes really strong. The only thing I do want to mention is that when you have Steeped in Bliss, you're going to be getting disadvantage on mental saving throws. So any charisma, intelligence, and wisdom saving throws, you have disadvantage. So you're going to get hit by command and hold person a lot. This is a big downside to it. So it is kind of balanced in that sense that you do burst damage, but any spells that come around, you're getting shut down pretty quickly. And we also have that uncanny dodge there to give us even further survivability. My team's getting roughed up pretty badly here. That's just because I'm not able to clear off targets quickly enough. Having no extra attack really does impact the damage output. I'm glad they didn't shove me. I thought that was what was about to happen. All right, I'll get the sneak attack off on this target here. I could have also went with the throw. 114, that's pretty decent. And I guess I want this guy done. I'm going to throw it at him. Always go for, I guess, the biggest threat. It would probably, yeah, it doesn't really matter at this point, but I just want the far away target gone. We got mental fatigue off on him. That's fine. I'll do an offhand attack. It's not going to 26 damage. That's okay. Not the ideal turn, but hey, what can you do? Now, when you get hit by a critical hit, uncanny dodge is good at that point because it can help keep you alive. I don't have darkness set up here, so I'm in a kind of tricky situation to say the least. I can't get an attack off against this target, so I'm just going to go with the throwing attack. You could also, I guess, since they're actually, yeah, they're going to do an opportunity attack against me. You could use a psychic teleportation to teleport away if you needed to, but I have another plan because we do have good range. Throwing attacks have a different trajectory to them. I have disadvantage and still a 90% hit chance on that, so that's perfect. That was enough to take him out. That's exactly what we wanted. I now advantage because I'm invisible. Perfect. My plan worked. Get that free attack off. 130 damage. Nice. And we have one last target to deal with. They have full health, so we're not going to finish them off this turn, but it's a good amount of damage. Now, it's funny that we're best off throwing even at close range because we got a huge bonus to their throwing attacks and a huge damage bonus. So, yeah, the Soul Knife plays really interestingly. It has crazy burst damage potential. It does come with the downside of using the Resonance Stone and everything that comes to that with losing your saving throw benefits. But yeah, it's a really fun build and unique. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and you can go check out the 5e book of Rogue Subclass Mod by IncogneatoBurrito, now available on console on mod.io. Let me know which of the Rogue subclasses you want to see next.